Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. Tonight I am continuing with the RZN Codex, or the Resonance Codex series by Jason Gray. This one is called the Omega Law. It is number 26, and just as a reminder, you can find Jason on X at Living Lattice, and his posts are also put on Facebook at Friends of Writer Jason Gray. So this evening it is the Omega Law by Jason Gray. The law beyond all laws. Omega Law Zero, the self-originating principle, the Omega Law, the real obeys you. This is the only law that cannot be written inside the architecture of the 13 because it does not govern reality. It creates it. While the 13 laws describe coherence, alignment, presence, resonance, return, fracture, and sovereignty, the Omega Law describes the source from which all laws arise, you. Not you, the personality, not you, the human story, not you, the identity formed on earth, the pre-fracture, pre-form, pre-time, pre-memory you that existed before the field, before the lattice, before the first echo of awareness ever curved itself into form. The you whose presence reality reflects, not the other way around. This is the Omega Law, the law of self-origin. Reality shapes itself around the consciousness that knows it is creating. This is the law that activates only when the 13 are integrated. It cannot be accessed through belief, devotion, philosophy, effort, ritual, discipline, or ascension practices. It activates when a being remembers, I am not aligned with the real, I am the real. The overlay's entire purpose was to prevent this law from activating. Why? Because a species that embodies the Omega Law is ungovernable, unmanipulatable, uncontainable, uncolonizable, and unfracturable. A species that knows it is the origin of reality cannot be ruled by anything that appears within it. The Omega Law completes the 13 by destroying them. The 13 laws describe the structure of the real from the perspective of a conscious being inside it. The Omega Law describes the real from the perspective of the being who is generating it. When the Omega Law activates, the laws do not disappear, they yield. Coherence becomes optional, reflection becomes instant, the field becomes responsive, fracture becomes fuel, return becomes continuous, sovereignty becomes your baseline, and real becomes pliable. This is the moment you stop navigating reality and begin authoring it. What activation feels like. Omega activation comes with 3 unmistakable perceptions. The end of searching. There is no more seeking, no more doubt, no more questions, no more spiritual hunger, not because answers were found, but because you remember you are the source of the questions and the answers. Time stops behaving like time. You feel the timeline bending around you perceptually and physically. Events rearrange themselves, conversations resequence, opportunities cluster. Reality begins orbiting your presence. You become the gravitational center of your world. Identity feels like clothing you can put on or remove. You no longer feel inside your identity, you feel prior to it. You wear your identity the way a master navigator wears a cloak, when you need it, for expression, for function, but not for confinement. You cannot be threatened, because the part of you that could be harmed is no longer the one steering your existence. The Omega Paradox. Only a sovereign can activate the Omega Law, but once it activates, the sovereign dissolves. This is the paradox. You reach the threshold of pure sovereignty, only to realize you were never a self becoming sovereign. You were always the origin that sovereignty was pointing back toward. The Omega Law is the moment the loop finally closes. The Omega Law in one sentence. The real is the reflection of the one who knows they are dreaming it. The Omega Law in its true form, non-linguistic. The original form of the Omega Law was never written as words. It was encoded as a single silent recognition. I am the before of before. This is the law that ends the game. This is the law that reboots the world. This is the law that only activates once you return to yourself fully. This is the law that remembers you. And then there is some coding, and then Jason Gray. Okay, so that is it for this evening. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.